Hey guys, so I just got back from the hospital. I can't really remember if I mentioned this yesterday, but I talked about how I had this weird noise in my breast and how when I pushed on it, all this liquid came out. That was a couple nights ago. And then yesterday, I was basically changing my bandages, and when I looked in the mirror, there happened to be a really small hole that had opened up in my right breast on right in the midline area, right down the center of my chest. So on that side, the inside of my breast, in the incision that they made underneath my breast, right on the end. So there was this tiny little hole. Was not happy to see it. It was just looked like a little kind of not. It was bigger than a pinhead, like about the size of a pencil eraser, like if even that big. And it was kind of scary and kind of annoying, and I was just kind of like, oh God, what else could go wrong? And so basically, I bought some more gauze and some more pads, and I bought some Neosporin, and I kind of covered everything again and kind of bandaged myself up. And all yesterday, I started feeling like some pain from that area. I kept feeling like I was ripping, for lack of a better term. I thought maybe there was a stitch. I'd heard about rogue stitches that can come and make you open up. So I thought maybe that was the case, that I had just a rogue stitch that had, was aggravating the area. And when I felt like it was like tearing a little bit, I thought maybe the stitch was coming apart. But I didn't give it too much thought. I just hoped for the best and kind of went about my business. And then last night I was sleeping and I got woken up because I had a pretty extraordinary pain coming from that area. And because I'm wearing this surgical bra, it's very tight and it kind of pulls a little bit because it's, anytime you move, it kind of yanks a little bit. And so from that area, I started getting a few shooting pains. And again, it felt really almost like it was tearing a little. And so I was up for a while in the middle of the night because it just kind of hurt. And then this morning, it was still further pain, but I just kind of dealt with it. And it got to be around the time where I usually change my bandages, and I debated, should I take a shower or should I just change the bandages and go without a shower? And so I thought, well, I'll look at it and see how it looks and then make the decision. And weirdly, I felt like, it's been leaking a lot from where the drains were, and obviously that hole had been leaking as well. And so I took my bra off and I took the bandages off, and I immediately felt like it was very, very painful. So I kind of moved the breast and kind of leaned back a little so I could look at it in the mirror and kind of make sure the hole was looking okay. And to my surprise, the hole, which had formerly, like I said, been about the size of a pencil eraser, was now big enough where I could fit my thumb in it. It had really opened up. It looked really kind of scary. I couldn't tell how deep it was, but it looked pretty deep. And I was just kind of like, oh my God, this can't be normal. So I bandaged it all up again. I changed the bandages and I just bandaged it because I was not going to get in the shower because I started freaking out. And I closed the bra and I called my doctor's office and I said, I told them what was happening. I said, I don't really know what to do. Can you give me some help here? And the receptionist who had answered, she said, look, we can get you in on Thursday to see the doctor, or you can take pictures of it and send them to us. She gave me an email address. She said you can just send them, and then they'll show them to the doctor, and then they can let you know what they want to do. And I was like, well, Thursday is, 2 days away, and this is happening now, so I'll take some pictures and I'll send them. So I did. I went in the bathroom, and I kind of grimaced a bit as I had to look at it because it looks pretty gross. And, I took a picture and it looked even bigger than before. And it only like 15 minutes had passed. So I was just like, oh, this sucks. So I sent this big, massive, long email to my doctor's assistant and basically told her everything that was going on, including the fact that I've had a low-grade fever for the past couple days. It's only been 9900, it got up to 100.7, and that was as high as it got, but it's been, Tylenol kind of brings it down. And I explained about the wounds, where the drains were, that they're still leaking, and I explained about the squishiness in the breast and how the liquid had come out, and then I explained about the hole. And I included pictures of all the areas. And I got an email a few minutes later from her saying, all right, I will submit these to the doctor. He's in with a patient, but as soon as he comes out, and we'll let you know. And I was like, okay. So a few minutes later, she called me and she said, yeah, the doctor thinks it's probably pretty normal. Don't worry about it. Sometimes where, in breast reductions, where the vertical incision and the horizontal incision under the breast meet, it's very tense there, and sometimes that can open up, so don't worry. And I was like, did you read my email? That's not where the hole is. The hole is not anywhere near that little T-junction. It's over here. So I know that can open up, and that has opened up, but that's not scaring me. What's scaring me is this other hole that's just getting bigger by the second. And she was just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, the doctor still thinks it's pretty normal, but he thinks if you want to come in on Thursday, we can make an appointment and you can come in. So I said, okay. So, I wasn't very happy about it, but I was like, if that's the best you can do, fine. So she booked me to come in on Thursday, and then I hung up and I was a little bit angry, and I was kind of writing on Facebook about how upset I was, and my friends were like, I can't believe they're not taking you more seriously after everything you've been through, and this sucks, and it needs reported, and da 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 da. I was just like crying to my mom on the phone because I was just so upset by the whole thing. And then my phone rang again, and it was my doctor's assistant again, and she said, oh, I was just looking through the email, and I just realized that you talked about having a fever. I didn't see that before, so can you tell me more about it? So I explained, again, it was a low-grade fever. It wasn't, anywhere near what it was when I was infected, but that I had mentioned it because I thought it might be pertinent. And so she started asking me questions. She kept asking me, and again, where the hole was, and I was trying to explain it to her. And then she was like, okay, can you hold on? And I was like, yeah, okay. And like 2 seconds later, my doctor came on the line. So he had obviously been standing there listening to her talk to me. So he gets on and he started asking me questions again about where the hole was, about my fever, about everything else, the pain, and everything that had already been covered in the email. And he basically said, look, I'm in the office today, do you want to come in today? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, or you can keep the appointment Thursday. And I was like, well, bleh. And basically he left it up to me, and I was like, yeah, I want to come in today. So I called my husband. He came and picked me up, and we went to the doctor. And there's a few different surgeons that work there. They're all part of the same team. Dr. Rockwell is my doctor, and he is the kind of head person. He's the one who is my doctor in charge of me, but I've obviously dealt with several of the plastic surgeons there. And so one of the female surgeons came in to kind of assess me, and she looked at it, and she was saying the good news is it didn't look infected, but she wanted to check it out, so she took some swabs, and my husband was standing right there kind of looking at it and everything. And I didn't really know what she was doing. I just saw she had these really long, like, they looked like Q-tips, but they were like, only one end was a Q-tip. So anyway, she was doing stuff. She took some swabs of different areas. She was looking at it all very closely, asking me questions. And then the bit with the hole, she kind of like was sticking the thing around there, and it was very painful, but I kind of gritted my teeth and dealt with it. And then she left the room and said Dr. Rockwell would be in very shortly. And so I turned to my husband. I was like, what happened? Tell me all the gossip. So he's like, well, there's a big old hole in your boob. And I was like, yes, I know. He's like, yeah, but it's kind of two holes. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, there's a little piece of skin separating them. So it kind of looked like my nose here, except with giant holes. So there was like these two holes, this little piece of skin in between them. Which it hadn't been when I had called them. So it had only been one hole then. So obviously it had like opened up even more. So I made him take a picture of it. And sure enough, it was way, way bigger than it had been. And there was a tiny little piece of skin. And so I was just like, oh my God, this is getting worse and worse. This sucks. So the doctor finally came in, and, he was kind of looking at it. And again, he said it didn't look infected. And he kind of explained what was happening. And he took some gauze and another one of these long Q-tip things, and he stuck it up inside the wound. And in the process, he broke that little piece of skin that was between the two holes, which he intended to do, but he didn't tell me about. So he explained that he had done that, and that's why it hurt so bad. But he basically said, "Hey, how do you feel about doing this at home?" And I was like, "You want me to stick stuff up my own wound? I don't know that I can do that." And he's like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't even see it. Your husband's gonna have to do it." And I was like, "Oh my god." So he made Mark practice sticking gauze up this hole, so to make sure that he knew what he was doing. And then he explained the whole thing to me, which was why it had opened was twofold. One, in the second surgery that I had, where they did the washout, what they did is they actually opened the incision underneath my breast. They opened it at each end. So on the right side and the left side, they opened it so that they could, wash through it. And so obviously the skin there and the wound there is a little less connected, I guess, than the rest of it. So what had happened is because because it's been leaking fluid, obviously there's fluid inside. And what had happened is there was obviously a fluid buildup, and instead he said the body can either reabsorb that fluid or it can leak. And what obviously happened was it formed a pocket on this side of my breast, and when I pushed on it and it made this squelchy noise, I obviously pushed it downward and it escaped through that little tiny hole. And because the skin had been opened a couple times, I guess it just wasn't, it's healed, or it's healing, but it was tender and it just exploded. So when that liquid came out, it kind of forced that hole open. And inside it looks good. It's very deep. And so what they need it to do is they can't have the hole heal until inside is healed. And he also explained that when they do the breast reduction, they actually take all the tissue from all around the breast. So they take it from the top and the sides, and where the nipple is behind that, it's kind of like an apple, and there's the core is where the stem is your nipple, and the core is what they keep. But they kind of take the rest of it and then fold the skin and staple it back together. And so basically all around the breast, there's kind of like a tunnel. And so the liquid got caught in the tunnel, and so it can either come out this side or it can come out this side. And it just chose to come out that side, and it created a big hole. So we basically have to wait for the inside to heal, and it'll slowly heal from the inside toward the outside. And once the inside is more healed, then we can let the outside heal. But if the outside healed first before the inside did, then more liquid could build up and it would just have the same problem. So this gauze that we stick inside, it's called packing. We stick the gauze up inside the hole, and what it does is it keeps the outside from healing so that the inside can heal first. So he said that we'd probably have to do it for about a week. It may be less, but he suspects about a week. And after that, it's really gross because when they pulled the gauze out to show my husband how to do it, it was already covered in green, yellow mucus, which is pretty disgusting. It looks like someone snotted all over it. And that's normal, apparently. So when it stops doing that, when we can pull it out and there's not that snot and stuff, that's when we don't have to pack it anymore. So however long that takes. So yeah, basically, I feel a lot better about everything. I was really freaking out going into it, but I feel loads better knowing that this actually is not a rare thing. It happens to a lot of people, and it's really easy to deal with as long as it doesn't get infected. So my job now is to just keep it clean, keep it packed, keep the area around, nice, and we've got pads and gauze and stuff all around. I'm so full of bandages, it's unreal. I was also told I don't have to wear the surgical bra now, which is good because this thing is just the ugliest thing in the world. It goes way up, it's heavy duty, and he basically told me just wear a sports bra. It's a lot more comfortable, and I don't need the compression anymore. So that's what we're gonna do. Hopefully this will heal quickly, and we'll be ready to rumble soon. My husband has to go away on a business trip next week, so I'm gonna be alone with the 3 kids, and the doctor said, yeah, you'll be fine. As long as you feel okay, you can pick them up now. And I'm just like, I don't want any more stitches to rupture. I don't want any more holes to open. I'm freaking out. But it is what it is. So I'm not gonna make my husband cancel his business trip. He's already, booked into it. So hopefully I'll be okay. I'm really nervous about having to take care of my kids by myself and having to do everything. So I'm just gonna rest the rest of this week as much as I can. Let my husband take care of me, keep the thing packed, and hopefully it'll all be good soon. Um, Hopefully this has been helpful. I've seen people talk about packing wounds, and I didn't really know what it was, so I'm glad I know now and why it's done. So that's that really. I'll update if there's something more to update about, but for now, hopefully the rest of my time is just going to be smooth. Wish me luck. Talk to you guys soon.